But let me continue processing these. So I'm taking all of my melody pieces and putting them into the same channel. One thing I do is anytime I do something multiple times, I tend to create a preset for it. So as you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of presets of things that I use often. And I don't do this unless I notice that I've constantly been doing like the same thing to the same types of sounds. So you'll notice for all of my melodies, I have a little preset for it. I've got a preset for my 808s, for my ad-libs, for, different things. So that can help save a lot of time. If you notice that you're doing the same kind of processing to the same kinds of sounds, just make a preset with those things already on it and then save it. That way you can just load up your DAW, right click, go to file, and then you can just click the preset that you want. So if I have my ad-libs, here's what I put on my ad-libs typically. So yeah, saves a lot of time. Okay, and I am going to turn off the compressors for Maximus for now. However, what I am going to do with Maximus is I'm going to take the low end, which is going to be everything that is below 200 hertz, and I'm going to separate it. So I've got it going, let's go 30% is fine. And then I'm going to take my highs and do the opposite. I'm going to merge those. Okay, and my philosophy for doing this is I kind of do the opposite with my drums. So with my drum sounds, I tend to put my lower frequencies in the middle, and my higher frequencies tend to get pushed out to the sides. There are some exceptions to that, but generally speaking, that's what I tend to do. So my philosophy is I'm going to do the opposite for my melody so that my melody and my drums don't have frequencies in the same space competing with each other as much. Let me know if, like, down in the comments, if, like, doesn't make any sense or doesn't work for whatever reason, because I am open to ideas. That's just something I thought of. I was like, well, if I'm putting my drums in these spaces, it makes sense to me to put my melodies in the opposite place so that they're not competing in that space for sound for those frequencies. I don't know. So like I said, if you know what you're doing, if you're a seasoned veteran and that does or doesn't make sense to you, feel free to let me know in the comments. And for my higher frequencies, I'm going to go with like 2K and above. Now I've gone into the mid-side EQ for my melody, and on the sides, I'm taking some of the like sub-bass frequencies out. Then I'm going to the mids and taking some of those out as well. I want to take more out of the mids, and the reason is for what I just said. I'm going to be putting my low frequencies of my drums in the mono space. So in the mids center in the mono space, I want to take some of that low frequency out of the way. I'm noticing a little bit of muddiness now that I've turned up the volumes and everything, so I'm going to EQ a little bit more. So I took out a little bit more of this lower region of this one. And we'll get this one. I think the Z808 will work for this. Just a boom, like a thumpy. Yeah, I think I like that. So let me repeat this. So I'm going to have a clap playing at the same time at some point during the 808, but that's okay. I've got a clap and a snare layered for part of it. So on this first one, it's just the clap. Then I've got a little counter snare hitting before, and then I've got the same clap as before and the snare hitting at the same time. And so I kind of do that every other one. So just the clap, then both, just the clap, then both, and then and then I've got some stuff going on in between for each of them. And anything that's not on like the main, the main snare clap positioning, I tend to pan. So these are panned left and right because they're not on the main, the main place. Same thing with these. These are panned. And to make it easier to see which ones should be panned or not, if it's not on the space, I tend to pitch it up or down just to make things visually easier. But also, like, that adds different textures. So that's also fun to listen to. Let's add a hi-hat. Okay, I think that's a good bounce. I've up some of the velocities. So maybe I can go down a little bit, and then this one can be really low. Yeah, there we go. Now let's try it. Okay, so the only thing I don't like about this is this part. Maybe I can just get rid of that one, so it's not like as busy sounding at the end. There we go. Oops. Anytime I'm panning something, if I notice that it's going to be panned the same direction as something else, I'll automatically pan it the other way, just to make sure things aren't, like, competing with each other quite as much. I'm going to put a soft clipper on the master for now. And I'm going to crank that 808 up. Okay, this is basically the beat. I mean, there are plenty of other things I can do to this. What I'll end up doing is go through, and when I finish mixing this, I'm going to put a Fruity Peak controller on a lot of these different main instruments and drums. So like I'll probably put one on the Z808, and then I might add a kick later and put one on the kick, as well as like the main clap. And that will allow me to like duck frequencies of other instruments as those instruments come in. There are other things I could do as well, but this is the majority of what you're going to hear as far as the beat is concerned. So let's listen back to it.